The time to rise has been engaged. We're better, best to rearrange. I'm talking here to me alone. I listen to the finest work song. Your finest hour. Hello and welcome to Thursday afternoon, a hectic, busy Thursday afternoon here on Colombo Company on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. There is a lot happening in the news. There is an election that is just days away here in the state of Missouri, and we have got a show packed full of news, information, and guests to help us break it all down. There is major controversy coming out of the Olympic Games. We've got the United States hostages being released by Russia today. We've got updates on and developments in the presidential race, and of course, all of the local election news to break down and update you on. Holy guacamole. It is a busy, busy show. And here to help me with that is my co-host this afternoon from nothingbutTruth.com, the great Crane Durham. And Crane, especially when the world has lost its mind, it's important that brothers don't shake hands. Brothers got a hug.
Brothers got a hug. And that hug is powerful. And it acts as a shield against all the craziness. And hopefully that shield will turn out to be a lens for all listening. Clarity is power.
So, well said, my friend. Well said. Speaking of the local elections, we are going to talk to Missouri State Representative Justin Sparks. He's going to join us on the line in just over 10 minutes from now. Also this hour at about 2:45, we are going to talk to Peter Pfeiffer, who is also a candidate that has a big day coming on Tuesday. He is running for United States Congress in St. Charles County. That is the Ann Wagner race. So Peter will be in studio with us in just over a half an hour from now. Looking forward to that conversation. Also, my buddy Mark McMurray, my Saturday co-host of the Bluff City Outdoors show, which you can hear on the weekends here at News Talk STL. He's going to join us in the 3 o'clock hour, as well as Dr. Randy Tobler in the 3 o'clock hour. Woo! A lot going on, but a lot of guests, but it's a good day to have a lot of guests because there's a lot to talk about, Crane. I really want to talk about the Olympic situation because you are an athlete, a coach, and I know athletics are very important to you. So I want to get to that. We'll get to that in just a moment. Very much looking forward to getting your thoughts on that. But I feel like we should start with the hostage situation. U.S. hostages released by Russia in a prisoner swap today. President Biden has called the prisoner swap deal with Russia a feat of diplomacy, saying, quote, today, 3 American citizens and 1 American green card holder who were unjustly imprisoned in Russia are finally coming home. Former Marine Paul Whelan, Evan Gersovich, who is the Wall Street Journal member of the media, and 2 others have been released, according to the Wall Street Journal and their report. It was a prisoner swap, but we don't have a whole lot of details on who those individuals were that were released by the United States in this swap. We do know that Whelan, the Marine, has been in custody for 2,043 days in Russia since December 8, 2018. He was arrested on espionage-related charges, according to the Russian government. That has been, of course, denied by both the United States and himself. Ever since that happened, he was originally sentenced to 16 years in prison, and he was part of that release today. So, Crane, just break it down for us. What are your thoughts on this hostage. It's not a hostage release, it's a prisoner swap. That's the more accurate way to say it. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm glad for the families and couldn't be more happy for the families, obviously. And in that breath of statement, I come with the but, and the but is what did we give up to get these unjustly uh, captive
Mhm.
prisoners? Well, what did we have to do? And if it is something that incentivizes the practice for taking those or subjugating, arresting those and putting in prison people who don't belong there, and to get people that do belong there
Mhm.
out, I think you incentivize the practice of you're going to get more of that behavior. But obviously, we're all happy, and we're happy the Americans get to come home who are unjustly held.
Yes, I think you said it well there because it's such a this is such a slippery slope. It's such a tricky
Mhm.
situation because you you want to put yourself in the mindset of the families or even the hostages, that the American citizens that are being unjustly held in a place like Russia or what's happening in the Middle East, and you would want everybody to do everything that they possibly could to bring your loved ones home. Absolutely, of course. However, you also have to, as you mentioned, you have to be very careful to not incentivize hostage taking by giving up too much or rewarding people for doing that. That just makes the world a more dangerous place. So this is a very delicate subject, no matter what is happening in the world. And
Mhm.
especially right now with all the chaos and the elections and everything else, it's even more under a microscope and even more sensitive. Um, do you feel like this what happened today was a proper way to go about it, or do you feel like this was another incentive, another way to incentivize this behavior in the
I
future?
I just don't know enough about the deal yet, and as it is, every one of these hostage situations do have their own set of facts, and so you got to look at them and how you go about getting people released. Obviously, they're unjustly held,
Mhm.
and I am so happy that they are home for their families. I cannot imagine, again, coming back to the idea of hostages and the worth of them, and that being a way to incentivize the taking of more if people feel that they can manipulate the system that way and they're not scared to death of just taking the hostage. And I
Mhm.
think that we want to have a policy of deterrence, and part of that is doing what, well, Israel recently has done, thank God, and really putting the fear of death in our enemies to say, you're not going to touch American citizens.
Mhm.
You're not going to unjustly hold them. And there will be a consequence if you do. And so I don't know enough about the deal.
Yeah.
Interested in, but glad they're home. And hopefully we haven't incentivized more.
Yeah, and we will. There is a lot more to learn. There's a lot more details to come out about this situation, as you mentioned, and we will continue to keep an eye on it, and of course, update you as more information comes in. I will say, Crane, that
Mhm.
not I don't think enough people, think further of big picture about an issue
Mhm.
like this, and so I would urge and everybody, when you see when you're watching these news stories over the next couple of months, and you're watching what's happening around the world, I think everyone needs to remember uh, uh, that as we watch this, they're like the next time, when there's more violence in the Middle East, the next time an illegal alien is in the news for committing a crime, the next time there's a terrorist attack somewhere in the world, do you want Kamala Harris to be the one in charge? Do you trust Kamala Harris to be the one in charge of handling those situations and protecting the United States? I don't think people
That's the
think,
question.
yeah, I don't think people look big picture and think about that as we try to, because there's so much going on and you just try to keep up with the news and information minute to minute. But I, I'm not this, and this is by no way a, like a feather in Joe Biden's cap either. Again, I'm sure there's a lot more information that we will learn, but I I I don't trust Kamala Harris to handle these major world events. So
Well,
I
we
think that's
need
something
only
every voter
look.
needs to think about.
I think you're absolutely right, and pardon me.
No, you're good.
They absolutely need to think about how Kamala Harris has treated Israel and fallen into the propaganda of Hamas. It's not a gray issue. This one's really easy. We're in the same war against the Islamic terrorism that we've seen, both Shia and Sunni. Sunni in the case of Hamas, but they will work with the nation state of Iran, and that's where this all ends up. We're going to have to confront Iran at some point. Do we want Kamala Harris to be that person? I don't.
I don't either, and that is something that you need to consider. Everybody needs to consider as you are getting ready to cast your vote in this year's elections. All right, I want to switch to the Olympic story now. We've got Crane Durham on the line with us. He's my co-host this afternoon. Also, a tennis coach, somebody who has a very extensive athletic background. I think Crane, like you believe in how sports can bring people together and give
Competition,
give
baby.
kids give kids a sense of belonging and a sense of team and working for something bigger than yourself, and just all the positives that come along with sports that we all love growing up as kids, and how a lot of that's been tainted in recent years. And I've talked about how I barely watch sports anymore, and that's crazy for somebody who grew up just a sycophant for the St. Louis Blues, the St. Louis Cardinals, the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, I was always watching sports, college sports, professional sports, and now I can barely stand it. And because of all the political messaging that's infiltrated, there's also some other things with the competitions and rules and things that also have made some sports difficult to watch. But here's exactly what I'm talking about. The Olympics supposed to be the core, like the raw version of competition in athletic sports. And in the news for the transgender issue, something that's been a hot button issue on this show for a very, very long time. As you guys know, I have daughters, one of whom is an athlete, very accomplished gymnast who has a bright future in that sport if she continues down the path. So this is, very personal for me and many others. An Italian boxer's decision to abandon her Olympic match against an Algerian fighter who was determined to have male chromosomes has reinvigorated controversy around gender fairness now within the Olympic Games. A former Olympic boxing champion called out organizations for allowing the fight to even take place. Algerian boxer Emain Khalif defeated the Italian boxer in Paris today. The Italian boxer, the woman, quit the match after 46 seconds, saying that the punches just, quote, hurt too much. Based on DNA tests, and there is some video out there. It's hard to find, with the Olympics and all that, but there is video, plenty of pictures. You can go and look this up. Based on DNA tests, we identified a number of athletes who tried to trick their colleagues into posing as women. This is according to the results of the test. It was proved that they have XY chromosomes. Such athletes were excluded from competition. This was a statement by the IBA president earlier today. This Algerian boxer, however, has denied any claims of being, a biological man, and was approved to compete, cleared to compete in these Olympic Games, despite tests showing that she has elevated levels of male chromosomes. So many people saying that this is a transgender man who is competing in the women's division. That has not been proved. However, there are some very obvious issues just when you see the pictures and the video. And here we go with this story and this issue tainting now the Olympic Games. Crane, your thoughts?
Well, we can't get away from it because people who are breaking the rules, people who we understand sex is binary, that was never really much of a discussion until we came into this fantasy world where people who may be suffering from some mental condition, um, dysphoria, in the center of gender dysphoria. Here we have people who are obviously manipulating the system, going against a weaker opponent. We're putting the health of that opponent in danger and possible death.
Yeah.
We're talking about here.
Yeah. When you're talking about
And
combat
men's
sport,
competing, men competing in women's sports could have been halted right away, but we had a culture here of people not wanting to get involved and the mainstream media not covering it in the way that it was just a simple choice. The choice hasn't changed. Men have the sports, women have sports. The only thing that's changed is the press, and that allows for an environment where people could be called an ist or an o because they talked about something and they could get canceled for it.
Unfortunately, sometimes it takes a tragedy or a very negative, bad situation to prove to people just how serious a situation is. So maybe if there's one thing that comes out of this, it's now the world has seen what people have been saying, for so long, that there's a massive gap. An elite female athlete will certainly beat most men at their sport in the world, but an elite female athlete will never be able to defeat a elite male athlete in a physical sport. And it was on display here, especially in how dangerous boxing is. When you watch the fight, it doesn't look like, there's a noticeable difference between the two boxers. And here's an Olympic female boxer who has obviously fought many people, trained, been hit, been through it all in the sport of boxing. And she said she's never felt anybody hit that hard in her whole life. So
it's just awful.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's just awful. And I know that so many of people hearing this in the audience are sitting there, and it boils the blood because it really does create a danger to young women and women generally in sport.
Yeah, for sure. That is Crane Duran from nothingbutruth.com. He is my co-host this afternoon. So he is sticking around, and we roll on, and we're going to move the conversation to the local elections happening on Tuesday. We're days away from Election Day here in the state of Missouri, and we are going to talk to Missouri State Representative Justin Sparks about all of the issues that Missouri voters are facing. And we'll do that next here on Colombo Company.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
The reason they jumped ship is once the American people realized that he was incompetent, they were afraid they're going to lose.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
Kamala Harris was the chief enabler of all of this.
News Talk STL.
We've seen a lot of rain in our area at the first half of this summer, more like 2/3 of the summer, and unbelievably. Also in the springtime this year, a lot of that rain has been some pretty severe weather, and that can definitely take a toll on your home. If any of this weather exposed a gutter issue at your home or business, or it exacerbated, made worse, a gutter issue at your home or business, there is one team to call that can take care of you better than anyone, and that is the Gutter Pros, your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. They do it all: leak protection, gutter repair, new gutter installation. If you have siding damage, Gutter Pros can repair that for you as well. I have seen this firsthand at our home. The Gutter Pros took care of an issue at our house that I thought was going to be a much bigger deal, that was going to take longer and be more expensive. It was so much faster and easier, and they were just so easy to work with that my only regret when it was all over was that I didn't call them sooner. Don't make that mistake. If you have a gutter issue, take care of it now. Don't let it turn into something more damaging and more expensive to your home or business down the road. And if you just think there might be a problem, take advantage of the free estimates. Have them come out and take a look and let you know what's going on up there. And it doesn't cost you anything to get that peace of mind. So if you have any questions or issues with your gutters at your home or business, call the Gutter Pros now at 314-656-7195 or at gutterpros.com.
Friends, Joe Biden's inflation is hitting us hard. Gas and grocery prices are soaring, and our paycheck buys less and less each day. But as your representative, I've fought for lower taxes, cutting wasteful spending, and bringing jobs back to Missouri. I stand for hardworking families, not Jefferson City insiders. I ask for your vote again so I can continue to fight for you. Vote Philip Olerking for State Representative, District 100. Let's make Missouri strong again.
Paid for by Phil Olerking from Missouri, Charles Barker, Treasurer.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hey, it's Vic. Are you worried about rising taxes? Well, you're not alone. With government spending outpacing revenue, many Americans fear a tax hike is on the horizon. But here's the good news. You have options. Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management specializes in tax-efficient strategies for income planning, legacy, and growth. Chris knows your money will go to one of three places: the government, healthcare, or your family and charities. Shouldn't your loved ones come first? Don't let Uncle Sam be your biggest beneficiary. Take control of your financial future today. Visit serenitynowtax.com for your free copy of Chris's book, The New Holistic Retirement. Serenity Wealth Management, because you deserve peace of mind in retirement. Request your free book today at serenitynowtax.com. That's serenitynowtax.com to get your free copy of The New Holistic Retirement. That's serenitynowtax.com. Serenity Now with Chris Cooper.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors.
Attention thrill seekers and fun lovers. Did you know the Midwest's largest wooden roller rink is right here in Missouri? Welcome to Piccadilly Palace, your ultimate family entertainment destination. Glide across our massive skating floor, conquer arcade challenges, put your way through mini golf, and dive into cutting-edge virtual reality experiences. And coming soon, a relaxing bar and grill patio, state-of-the-art golf simulators, and heart-pounding two-story go-kart racing next to East Central College in Union, Missouri. Plan your visit now at piccadillypalace.com. That's piccadillypalace.com.
Re-elect State Representative Tony Lavasco. Tony Lavasco eliminated licenses for home-based businesses. Tony Lavasco, rated 100% by the American Conservative Union. Tony Lavasco, the only candidate endorsed by Missouri Right to Life and by the NRA. Tony Lavasco, the only choice for small, limited government. On August 6th, vote Liberty. Vote Lavasco.
I'm Tony Lavasco, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Citizens for Lavasco. Dan Rakers, Treasurer.
The Jefferson City Report, brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9 News Talk STL. Tony Colombo here in studio with producer Ethan. And on the line, my co-host today, Crane Durham from nothingbutruth.com. And joining us now, is he does every Thursday afternoon, is Missouri Representative Justin Sparks. And Justin, I truly don't know where to start because there's so much to talk about surrounding the elections on Tuesday. But you have also been one of our experts whenever there's been information coming out about the Trump assassination attempt because of your law enforcement background. And there's issues and new news in both areas, and all those areas to talk about. I will just ask you, and we don't need to go into depth in this unless you want to, of course. But the video that came out yesterday that actually showed the video from the Trump rally in Pennsylvania that was actually taken by one of the men that were there that was critically wounded, who is thankfully now out of the hospital, but was in a really bad situation for a while. His video inadvertently from the event picks up the shooter on the roof moments before he fired. You could see him moving around. And to me, Justin, what that video more than anything, my takeaway was it really gave you a actual view of just how close and how clear of a shot that Thomas Crooks had at President Trump. When you saw that video, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. And so for me personally, with just my analysis of this, and of course, not having all of the facts, we all know that, but we do have eyeballs and brains, so you can put two and two together. Okay. Is that number one, this should have never happened. It is now becoming painfully clear that this wasn't some kind of freak accident, a one-off. And so we have to ask ourselves the uncomfortable questions, which is, was this allowed to happen on purpose? Okay. Now, what I mean by that is people in the conspiracy world want to go down the road of the CIA or was it this country or Iran or whatever. I'm not saying that necessarily. We don't have that information. But what I will say is that a security breach of this magnitude doesn't just happen. I mean, it just doesn't. There is a concerted, coordinated effort to reduce the security footprint at Donald Trump's events. And I think that definitely has been shown happen that day. And I think that has been demonstrated that there was a concerted effort at the highest levels to deny him the requested and necessary resources to adequately protect him, resources that we would have always had in the past when I did the security details. The fact that the local SWAT team did not have any communication with the Secret Service is untenable, unbelievable. I can't believe it happened. I've never even heard of that. The fact that they offered their drones and the Secret Service said no. So this is more and more, this is what it appears. It appears that people at the highest level made a concerted, conscious decision to deny resources to Donald Trump. And we have to ask the question, why? Did they do it on purpose in order for an event like this to happen, that he might be assassinated? It's an unbelievable question to ask, but that's where we are.
That is Missouri Representative Justin Sparks, former law enforcement who has worked on security detail for presidential and vice presidential visits during his career. I'm going to use my tremendous interviewing skills and transition from that story to the local elections all in one swoop. So you students out there, take note. We saw this week, Justin, that also regarding this story, the search results, the headlines from Elon Musk saying that Google was, censoring search results around the assassination attempt. Facebook has actually admitted this week that it wrongly censored the assassination attempt photos and falsely flagged them in the days after the assassination attempt. This is something that the state of Missouri has even been involved in suing the Biden administration and big tech for, altering or suppressing the media, particularly when it comes to a lot of conservative stories and messages. How important, all of that in mind, is that not it just drive home the point, how important it is and how powerful your vote is, specifically in the state of Missouri on Tuesday in this massively important primary. And then obviously, in the general election in November.
I couldn't agree with you more, of course. Never before, and I'm just convinced of this, has an election been so important. And the results and must be so overwhelming, guys. It must be so decisive that what is happening in Venezuela can't happen here. And you're like, no way, Justin, no way that's going to happen. I'm just saying these results come November have to be so decisive, and especially in the state of Missouri in August, so there can be no question. Our election and our election process is vulnerable right now. And depending on what state you're casting your vote in, it's much more vulnerable. We saw this in 2020. We've continued to do investigations. I myself have spent a great deal of time investigating this. And now what we're seeing is, again, a concerted effort on behalf of some to thwart a free and fair election. And what do I mean by that? Google censoring and search results is election interference. Elon Musk said that, or he questioned it. He's right. Because when something so powerful as Google, which essentially has become a public utility at this point, that people use these results so frequently and just as a matter of life to censor, these requests about Donald Trump's assassination, and what comes up instead is Donald, Duck. You are actively trying to influence people, aren't you?
Yeah, I absolutely. We're talking to Missouri Representative Justin Sparks. We only have a couple minutes left here, Justin, and I know my co-host Crane Durham has a question. Crane, take it away.
A lot of questions as always, but this is the main question. Back in the day, being a Generation Xers that we are, I saw Reagan cut through the leftist spin and was able to talk directly to the American people. Now we have more communication devices than we've ever had, technology ahead of it, and they're programming the algorithms to go to particular directions and really trying to control how we think. Do you think candidates today can still cut through the BS, bunny stew that people are throwing out there? Because I see a real challenge with the youth, at least. They don't even understand that Israel's the good guy and Hamas are Islamic killers.
Oh my gosh, Crane, what an amazing question that is, because you're exactly right. It's part of the reason we're in such a precarious, dangerous time in our state, our country, our world, because you're exactly right. What are we seeing on college campuses? What are we seeing just with normal kids? They are being programmed, guys. They are being programmed by the device in their hands. We're talking about the threats that we've talked about from TikTok and the social medias. Your algorithm is now tailored to each individual device, and your camera on your phone is actually paying attention to what you're looking at and how long your eyeballs actually stay on a story. And then they feed, you get into an endless feedback loop. And so we have only just started now to scratch the surface of what is actually happening within the minds of our children. And frankly, it's terrifying.
Justin, only a couple minutes left. Hopefully we get a chance to talk to you one more time before or maybe on Election Day next week. But between now and then, what is your message to Missouri voters, not only in your district, but across the state, with so much on the line in this very unique August primary? It's not necessarily the November general that is the most important election day in the state of Missouri this year, which needs to be not only realized by everybody, but also participation wise. What's your message to Missouri voters as we're just days away from that election?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and I wish I was out there campaigning today, but instead I'm organizing a press conference for tomorrow in Ellisville, Missouri, about a man showering with young girls and women at the Lifetime Fitness.
Oh, we talked about that yesterday. We were, I think, the first ones to talk about that on the.
Good for you.
I'm so glad that story is starting to break through, Justin. I didn't realize you were doing that, and I would love to follow up with you on that story, because I think it's very important. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm glad to hear that is that is finally getting some attention that it deserves. I apologize.
No, absolutely. Just God bless, guys. Continue keeping up the good work, and look for a candidate that's actually going to do the uncomfortable thing and fight for you. That's my advice to the voters.
Remind folks where they can learn more about you and that event and everything that you're working on.
Sure. SparksFromMissouri.com and Justin M. Sparks on Twitter X, and you can find out all the details about the press conference tomorrow. Have a good one.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Really appreciate your time as always. Missouri State Representative Justin Sparks. As I mentioned, Crane Durham from NothingButTruth.com is my co-host. And speaking of Election Day, Peter Pfeiffer, who is running for United States Congress in St. Charles County, he is joining us in studio next here on Colombo and Company on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
So if you want to like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
We'll speak with Steve Bucci from Heritage on the Israeli assassination of terrorist leaders. And at 5:25, we'll speak with Rick Stream, director of the St. Louis County Elections.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
If you are thinking about selling your home right now, you need to call the #1 home selling team in the area. And that, of course, is the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Rodney and Jen Wallner are selling 15 times more homes per year than your typical home seller. They also have so many qualified buyers right now that they guarantee to get you an offer. But above and beyond all of that is just the experience of working with the Wallners. And I can speak to that firsthand personally. They were they sold our old home a couple of years ago faster and for more money than we could have ever imagined going in to it, which was so important and so helpful because we needed to buy a new home for our family. You know, we were expanding just like our family was, and needed to find that next home. And the Wallners put us in a tremendously advantageous position by getting the old home sold so quickly and giving us more money than we thought we were going to have to work with. And then, of course, they were also instrumental in finding that new home for us. There's a couple years ago that we went through the process with the Wallners, but one thing that has not changed between now and then is that it is still very much a seller's market. Supply and demand is very much on your side. If you are thinking about selling your home right now, don't let that window of opportunity close. Take advantage of it with the Wallners. They have the work ethic, the experience. There's a reason that they have those stats that prove that they are the best, and they can help you anywhere in the metro area in both Missouri and Illinois. They are licensed in both states. So again, if you're thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Don't let this opportunity pass you by. Call the Wallners now. Call them at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner Home Selling Team.
By now, you've heard Adam Schnelting's false attack ads. Don't buy his lies. Adam Schnelting says he opposes the transgender agenda, but he's trying to conceal the truth. Schnelting has received more than $71,000 from liberal trial lawyers. Those same trial lawyers supporting Schnelting also gave over $100,000 to a liberal group that supports men playing girls' sports, supports men using girls' bathrooms, and even supports gender mutilation surgeries for minors. To make matters worse, Adam Schnelting says he supports our gun rights, but he's received thousands from leading anti-gun lawyers that filed a massive lawsuit against gun makers and gun owners. But that's not all. These liberal lawyers don't just fund Adam Schnelting's campaign, their anti-gun lawsuits, or the transgender movement. They've also been leading funders of Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and even the Joe Biden-Kamala Harris ticket. Adam Schnelting. With friends like that, conservatives just can't trust him. On August 6th, don't forget Adam Schnelting. He's loved by liberals, and he lies like one too.
Gladius PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, paid for by Gladius PAC, and is not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
So you want Steph's Pizza, but you're in Lake St. Louis, and it's just too far to go. Not anymore. Now you can feed that Steph's Pizza craving quickly and conveniently in Lake St. Louis. Same great menu with a new location, 111 Pond Fort Trail in Lake St. Louis. Steph's Pizza in the Chesterfield Valley on Long Road, in St. Peter's on Jungerman, and now in Lake St. Louis. Check them out at stephspizza.com because tonight's a good night for Steph's Pizza.
Tired of talk about election integrity? Shane Scholler takes action. As the chief election authority in one of Missouri's largest counties, Shane's proven plan stops non-citizens from voting and secures our elections. A lifelong conservative, Shane stands firm, pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, and ready to protect your vote on day one. Don't just talk about stopping fraud. Elect someone who's done it. Shane Scholler for Secretary of State. Learn more at shaneforsos.com.
Paid for by Scholler from Missouri, Justin Hill, Treasurer.
Dreaming of upgrading your outdoor space?
STL Fenceworks is the choice for you. Our skilled craftsmen build custom fences from modern vinyl to classic ornamental, fitting your style and budget. Elevate your outdoor living with low-maintenance decks designed to relax and entertain. We choose only top-quality American-made materials, ensuring your project is built to last. Your satisfaction is our passion. With over 50 years of experience, custom designs, and exceptional customer service, visit stlfenceworks.com today.
Southern Armory, your hometown gun store. Come and be more than just a customer. Southern Armory, we carry the best guns, holsters, knives, magazines, ammunition, and even food storage. Special orders are welcome. Southern Armory, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, 9901 Watson Road, and southernarmory.com. That's southernarmory.com.
Whether you're purchasing your first firearm or adding to your collection at Southern Armory, you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Follow Southern Armory on Facebook or at southernarmory.com.
This hour of Colombo Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Welcome back to Colombo Company on 101.9 News Talk STL. Very busy show today. And speaking of company, if you're watching on the cameras, you see that we have some company live in studio with us. Peter Pfeiffer is here. He is running for United States Congress in District 2, which is the Ann Wagner's current district, and that is St. Charles County. It's Washington is right in the heart of that district. Peter, am I correct?
Absolutely correct.
Just get a picture of that in everybody's minds.
The second congressional district is just huge these days. It's a lot different than it was in 2020. 2022, the things changed, and that was the first election cycle with the new district. But it's Southwest St. Louis County, it's Southwest St. Charles County, it's everything south of 70 in Warren County, and it's all of Franklin County. So that's Washington, Union, St. Clair, and Sullivan. So you can go down 44 or you can go down 70, and you're primarily in the second congressional.
Yeah, like you said, it is a massive district, a lot of listeners in that area, and those changes are important that people realize, that some of those boundaries have changed. Peter, of course, we've, Election Day has dominated the conversation and the headlines here in the state of Missouri for the last couple of weeks. With all of that going on, governor's race, the congressional race in District 1 with Cori Bush and Wesley Bell, and so much of this stuff, how do you get your message to break through all of this other, all of the other headlines? What has been your experience in this campaign, and how are you getting your message out there, above all the other noise?
Well, and that's really hard because it is noisy out there. I'm not texting people. You're not going to see me on television. It's a grassroots campaign. I've been going to every nook and cranny. Look, only 80,000 people voted in the last primary election. And in that primary election, 30,000 voted against the current incumbent.
Wow.
Okay, so 3/8 of the vote voted against her. Almost half voted against the current congressman. So my job is to get those 12 to 15,000 extra votes come over and beat her. And I've done, I think, a very good job of being where the people are. I've been in Washington. I've been in Franklin County, and the Franklin County Republican Central Committee has endorsed me over Ann Wagner, which is huge, which is very important. The St. Charles County Republican Grassroots Political Action Committee has endorsed me, and many, many others that I'm grateful for. So that's what I've been doing. I've been going to where the people are. They're not looking for me. I'm looking for them. And I'm looking to work for them as well. That's what I'm looking to do. It's a job interview. And we know the job that's being done currently is not very good. It's $35 trillion in debt.
So that was going to be my next question. What is it? What are you able to do, you think, better for the people, other than than the current congresswoman?
Tony, what's 85-90% of a job?
Doing your job,
showing up, right? Showing up. And that's one thing I've heard over and over and over again. They don't hear and they don't see Ann Wagner ever in the district. town hall meetings. I was at a Chesterfield City Hall, City Council meeting, and asked them, when was the last time Ann Wagner used this room for a town hall? The answer was never.
Wow.
And there's 50,000 people that live in Chesterfield. How can you not be a part of your constituents' lives, or at least act interested in what's going on with them? People are frustrated. This is a change election. The frustration level is very high, obviously, because of the economy and other things. But $35 trillion is a real number, and it has an impact on all of our lives. I was listening to you earlier talking about your daughter, your competitive athlete daughter.
She's a gymnast, yes.
I have two daughters that were NCAA swimmers. One of them swam against the dude, as a matter of fact. So everything that you all are talking about today, including Lifetime Fitness, that's irritating to everyone, but especially as a father of daughters, that is an animating thing. That'll get you upset quick.
Absolutely.
And there's no way a man's going to be in a locker room with my daughter. It's already happened. The NCAA let that happen and let it occur. But how am I going to do a better job? I'm going to be available. I'm going to be in the district. I'm going to have town halls, and I'm going to vote no on additional spending. There's no reason why our backyard looks as bad as it does, and we're sending $100 billion to Ukraine. It's terrible. We need to stop doing that.
Peter Pfeiffer is in studio with me. He is running for Congress in District 2 here in Missouri. Big part, one of the major elections happening on Tuesday. Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com is on the line. He's my co-host today. Crane, I know you have a question for Peter. Please fire away.
Absolutely, and appreciate his engagement in the race. My question, it goes right to what you just said regarding the Ukraine. Can't we have a defense budget that is focused and supporting an ally that we said we were going to support in the Budapest Memorandum when they got rid of their nuclear weapons, to degrade one of our main enemies and send the signal that, no, we're not going to allow other countries to invade other countries, especially when they're invading our allies?
No, I absolutely agree. There's a lot of things that we should be doing that we're not doing. NATO is a defensive alliance, and it's been used aggressively. We keep poking the bear, keep poking the bear, keep poking the bear. And it was interesting, under Donald Trump, we didn't have any of that going on. And when Obama was president, Russia took over Crimea, which is part of Ukraine. And during Trump, there was nothing. And after Biden gets in, he invades Ukraine. It's interesting that what a big difference policy makes. I'm not a huge supporter of using NATO as an offensive alliance. It wasn't designed to be so. And we do need to support our allies. Our military budget right now has been eclipsed by debt service to the $35 trillion in national debt. So I agree we should participate. We also have to take care of our own backyard as well.
And accountability for me is the top of that list.
I'm glad. So my lately MAGA, make accountability great again. It really has to happen. There's so many things and people and events that are slipping through the cracks. No accountability. That has to be. And the Chevron decision out of the Supreme Court recently has given more muscle to Congress to go after those alphabet agencies and seek the accountability and change those agencies.
So, Peter, we only have a couple minutes left. I know that you have been, talking to the voters in District 2 and across the state of Missouri as we get closer to the election day on Tuesday. What are the top issues that they want you to address, and then also remind folks how they can learn more about you and your platform and everything, social media, website, all that stuff?
Sure. Well, on X, it's Peter Pfeiffer 18, and that's PFEIFER. And it's Pfeiffer for Congress on Facebook and PfeifferForCongress.com as well. The most important thing that people feel is the economy. Why? And these are not necessarily generic issues, they're personal issues, but generally people are feeling the economy. They want to see the end to illegal immigration. They want mass deportation. It sounds harsh, but we got to do it. There are 77,000 people that should not be in the state of Missouri, here in the state of Missouri, that we are all funding to some degree. That needs to end. People are really feeling that. And our domestic energy production. People are saying, why am I paying, $4 and upwards for a gallon of gas? There's no reason for that when we've got, the world's leading supply of liquid gold under our feet. So they want to see, really simple things. It's not difficult. And anybody that tells you it's complicated is lying to you. It's not that complicated. Do the simple thing, show up for work, listen to the people, and take that action.
That is Peter Pfeiffer. Peter, thank you for coming in today and spending some time to speak with us and talk to the listeners. Really appreciate it.
Tony, thank you.
You bet. We roll on this busy day. There is an update in the VP sweepstakes with Kamala Harris, and we will be joined by my weekend co-host, Mark Murray from Bluff City Outdoors, as well as Dr. Randy Tobler from the Randy Tobler Show, which, of course, you can hear every Saturday morning here on News Talk STL. All of that next here on Colombo and Company.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
Here's some expert advice from McGuire Moving and Storage. If you have a home or business move coming up, you need to book now. Most moving companies are booked 6 to 8 weeks out. So call McGuire now, get an on-site estimate, set a date. McGuire has 85 years of experience and just won the Spire Quality Award. I can personally testify McGuire goes above and beyond to help the clients. McGuire Moving and Storage, McGuireMoving.com.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Jefferson County, the future is bright. Vote Leslie Cheek for County Council.
Hi, I'm Leslie Cheek. I am not a career politician. In fact, I'm not a politician at all. I've been a businesswoman in the area for over 30 years, and I see this as an opportunity to share expertise in land use and bring a common sense and responsible approach to the issues important to the citizens of Jefferson County.
Hi, my name's Alyssa. Vote Leslie Cheek, my grandma, for County Council on August 6th. Let's move Jefferson County forward.
Paid for by friends of Leslie Cheek. Diane Berberick, Treasurer.
KLGY HD3 Clay, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Stocks on Wall Street slumped badly today after more signals suggested the U.S. economy's growth is slowing. Reports said U.S. manufacturing and the jobs market were weaker than expected. The U.S. and Russia have made their biggest prisoner swap in post-Soviet history. President Biden says the released prisoners have talked with family members.
Moments ago, the families and I were able to speak to them on the telephone from the Oval Office. They're out of Russia. Earlier today, they were flown to Turkey, and soon they'll be wheels up on their way home to see their families.
Moscow released U.S. journalist Evan Gerskovich and Michigan corporate security executive Paul Whelan, along with dissidents, including Vladimir Kara-Murza, in the deal. Officials set a total of about 24 people free. Among those the Russians got back is Vadim Krasikov, who was convicted in Germany of killing a former Chechen rebel in a Berlin park. Also at townhall.com, the number of Americans filing for jobless claims have hit the highest level in a year.
The Labor Department says jobless claims for the week ending July 27th climbed by 14,000 to 249,000. That's the most since the first week of August last year, and the 10th straight week that claims have come in above 220,000. Before that stretch, claims had remained below that level in all but 3 weeks this year. Weekly unemployment claims are widely considered as representative of layoffs, and though they've been slightly higher the past couple of months, they remain at historically healthy levels. I'm Shelley Adler.
The Dow dropping 509 points today. The NASDAQ composite was off 405. More at townhall.com.
You can just grin and bear it or bite the bullet when it comes to everyday pain. Don't. Try Relief Factor, a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. It's 100% drug-free. It's developed by doctors. In 3 weeks or less, you'll know whether it works for you like it works for me. Try Relief Factor for yourself. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds, which could be life-changing. I mean, you could put that money towards concert tickets for your daughter to see that singer who sings about painful breakups. And one song will inspire your little beauty to break up with that beast she's dating, Brian. Instead, she'll date someone who's nice and worthy of her love, not someone who addresses you and your spouse as bro. And it's all because you could save money switching at Progressive.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. There is a slight chance for an isolated shower or thunderstorm as we head into the evening. Better chances south of St. Louis, but we'll monitor it for the metro. Otherwise, overnight low 75. We're dry, mostly sunny in the morning. It's still muggy. It's still noticeably humid, but the humidity's not as bad, and it's not as hot of a day. 88 for the high for Friday afternoon, partly to at times mostly cloudy. Saturday, mostly sunny skies with a high of 91. Steamy humidity, but very typical for July. Sunday, 93 and sunshine. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Fox News commentary.
The climate cultists are mad that the remake of Twisters doesn't have enough climate change messaging. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Hi, I'm Ron Kraszewski, Chairman and CEO of Stifel. Financial advisors, let's face it, if you're not growing your practice, you're losing market share. Stifel is a growing, entrepreneurial, advisor-centric firm built for successful advisors like you. There's a reason why 148 financial advisors joined Stifel last year. Come join us and find out why Stifel is the firm where success meets success. Visit www.choosestifel.com.
Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Leftists are always outraged about something. Nothing is ever politically correct enough for them, and they'll find a way to be offended by anything, including feel-good movies. Enter New York Times opinion contributor Margaret Renkel, who was not happy with a lack of activism in the newly released remake of the movie Twisters. According to her, the remake of the 1996 film missed an opportunity to message the threat of climate change. She also lamented the filmmakers' decision to cater to, quote, mega politicians by not making the film more about climate change activism. These climate cultists really hate lighthearted entertainment, don't they? They can't stand the fact that most people want to go to the movies to laugh, to smile, and to be entertained. We are sick of the woke lecturing and sick of the doomsday climate change drumbeat. Leave us and our movies alone, lady. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Talk radio made in St. Louis for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL.
Our responsibility.
News, analysis, and opinion.
To provide updated guidance.
At 1019, 941, and newstalkstl.com.
Someday, saved by zero.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. What a packed 2 o'clock hour. We talked to Missouri State Representative Justin Sparks. We talked to congressional candidate Peter Pfeiffer in that last segment. Of course, Crane Durham from nothingbuttruth.com was a part of all of that as well. And we've got a busy 3 o'clock hour. Also, this is all a great time to remind you the importance of subscribing to our podcast. We put this show out as a podcast right after we get off the air every day. And it's the best way to make sure that you don't miss any of these great conversations and all the news and information that is happening right now. Just subscribe to the Colombo and Company podcast on your favorite podcast platform, because we are on all of them. In studio with me now is my weekend co-host, who is going to be my daytime co-host for a little while this afternoon. Mark McMurray from Bluff City Outdoors. Great to see you, buddy.
Hey, good to be here. Good to be here. Yep.
Absolutely. So, you can hear Mark and I and our cast of characters every weekend here on the Bluff City Outdoors show, Saturdays at 11 a.m., Sundays at noon. And we obviously talk fishing and hunting and all the outdoor activities on that show. But there's also a lot of conversations that happen during the breaks about so many other things. So I wanted to get Mark in here, and so we could talk about some other issues, and he could participate in these conversations outside of the outdoor show this week. So good to have Mark alongside, and also on the line with us right now, as he is every Thursday afternoon, is Dr. Randy Tobler. Speaking of Saturdays, of course, the Randy Tobler Show every Saturday morning, 6 a.m. here on News Talk STL. Doc, how you holding up? How you keeping up with all of this national news, and of course, the election right around the corner here in the state of Missouri?
Well, I'm a little bit concerned about our friend, Mr. Trump. By the way, great to be with you, and welcome to your co-host. Good to hear him on this venue. That's super.
Thank you.
I'm concerned about the Donald yesterday. I mean, it was rude of them to ask that first question, but if he thought he wasn't going to see some hostile questions, I don't know. He was delusional, right?
So fill us in on specifically what you, we haven't talked about this story yet, Doc. So remind folks specifically what you're talking about.
Okay, so yesterday when Donald Trump went into the National Association of Black Journalists Convention in Chicago, the first question out of the box from the ABC gal, was it Rachel Scott, I think, was, well, you called black prosecutors, animals, and you've denigrated basically one after another alleged racist comment. I don't know why calling a human being that doesn't have a prosecutor who lets criminals roam freely, whether they're black, white, purple, gay, lesbian, whatever, it doesn't matter, is not an animal by letting animals out on the street. It has nothing to do with race. I don't get it. But anyway, she basically chronicled a bunch of things that she alleged were racist. And how do you expect, black people to support you when you've acted like that? And then he right away said, well, I thought it was really outrageous for you to, I'm paraphrasing, for you to right out of the box ask me a question without saying welcome and how are you doing? Well, I don't know that anyone is obliged that by a journalist, especially, I don't know. That my bigger beef was, though, when they later said something about DEI hire. It's said, and some of your followers have said, and people that support you say that Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, and that's very offensive, blah, blah, blah. Well, he went into the fact that I just found out she was black. I thought she was Indian. I mean, he got too hung up. He took the bait on that. But I think the better answer, and I hope he anticipates, this guy is now in a different environment. It was his to lose. Now, I think he's going to have to claw and scrape for this victory like he did against Hillary Clinton. She is a more formidable candidate thanks to chameleon Kamala, and everyone's looking for Kamalat.
Oh, I hate that, by the way.
And I'm sorry, that's what they're looking for.
Oh, I know. They're trying to make that work. They're trying to make that just like they try to make Bidenomics work.
Let's be honest about it. She's a much more attractive candidate. I mean that both ways. Physically, she's more attractive than Hillary. Certainly fits better into her pantsuits. And secondly, she just is, she's got an engaging smile, and she can come across when she sticks to teleprompter pretty effective on the stump. Yeah. Not always as angry as Hillary. I mean, I just think there are some potential. She's been a political success, right? How can someone with so little qualification and talent have climbed so high on the political ladder? So there's something she's got that's politically, desirable to the electorate because they elect her. Okay. That said, I think the answer would have been when she said something about a DEI hire, you people and you were calling her DEI hire. He should have said, no. Joe Biden called her a DEI hire when he said that he was going to hire a black woman, and he could have just diffused it and say, now, do you have any Just that simple statement. Joe Biden is the one that called her a DEI hire, not me. Now, do you want to talk about the issues, ma'am? I thought you were a journalist. Is this going to be The View? Is this going to be Dear Abby? Or do you want to talk about the issues? I'm ready. And I think that's the way he's going to have to learn to approach this.
Mark, it's definitely going to be, a huge part of this election. It's already been a huge part of the conversation. I know that you have thoughts on this because we've talked about it. Like I said, we've been together on the weekends, especially being from Illinois. You know what it's like to, the progressive Democrat policies and the identity politics and all of that. How much is that going to play into this election, in your opinion? And how sensitive do people have to be? Are people getting tired of voters getting tired of all the political correctness? Or are they going to pay, or will somebody like Trump pay a penalty if he gets a little too?
Well, I mean,
blunt?
he just, I saw that too, and I have to agree with Randy on that. I mean, he just could have had a much better answer.
Yeah,
and he's going to have to, learn to just say, hey, like you said, I'm not the one who called her that. Joe Biden was the one who said this, and but he just needs to stick to his policies, and then just use her video against her.
Yeah,
because there are so many out there. I mean, that's what he needs to talk about.
Yeah.
Hey, this is what she said. Here's the video. Here it is on my phone, and just replay some of that, because that progressive policies just don't work.
Yeah.
I mean, we see it in Chicago, we see it over all through Illinois, it's just, they don't work.
We see it from her history in
yes. I mean,
California.
Her whole history is progressive.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of videotapes, audio. I mean, there's plenty of her policy stances where you just make people aware of that.
Yeah.
Because we've suffered enough in many places from that. And
You're
if you
right.
make people aware, then he's going to move enough people over to his way.
And you know what, guys? You know what? As you're saying that, Mark, you're so right on. And I think that, look, he's the ultimate showman, right? So why doesn't he take that skill and do the Karl Rove thing? Because these questions are going to come up, right? These things are going to come up. And even if they don't come up, he can bring them up. Why not do the Karl Rove thing, but in high technicolor, by either having a big tablet, an iPad, or whatever, and say, hey, I brought a little something with me to just remind everyone that no matter what the fake news media says, and no matter what Chameleon Kamala says, and I think that would be one place where it's appropriate to use a name, to use a nickname, not dumb Kamala, not what stupid Kamala, not mean Kamala, not cackly laugh Kamala, but Chameleon Kamala. And would anyone like to take the opportunity here, even get up off your chair and walk towards the fake news media cameras and say, hey, look, I got about a 60-second loop here I'd like to play for you. Would you like, oh, you don't want to see that.
Yeah.
He's got to play offense and not be on defense, and play it smart, play it savvy, get people's attention, and mean business, all about policy and what she really is about, not the chameleon decoy. Speaking of the hunting show.
I mean,
she's a strictly decoy, and really go for it, man. They can't pussyfoot around with her. This gal's dangerous. I'm telling you. She's dangerous.
And he needs to do exactly what you said there. Actually have something ready to show people. And then of course, when they won't let him show it, then he posts it, and everybody's going to go, hey, what wouldn't they let him show? And it's going to get it'll get huge traction from that. And the words are there. I mean, I see some, I'm going, you can't run away from that.
Yeah. Well, and they're going to try, and never underestimate the media and the Democratic machine, especially when they, have are so buddy with the mainstream media, to try to bury all of those things that you're talking about, Mark. One example is, countless interviews of her bragging about putting, hundreds, if not thousands of people in California in jail for nonviolent marijuana, charges and things like that would not, that don't align with the current progressive platform. But if Trump's not showing them, or we're not showing that stuff, you can't count on the mainstream media to do so. And Doc, we know from covering it, if there's been one politician that's been less popular than Joe Biden over the last 3 years, it's Kamala Harris. But that again is going to be forgotten, and history is going to try to be rewritten by so many. So it's I think very important that we point out the lack of accomplishments, the failures, and the true history of Kamala Harris as vice president and before, as this election goes through, because they're going to try to rewrite the story in the next couple of months, are they not?
Yeah, of course they are. The next couple of months, they did it like I think they had it ready. Tony, I wouldn't be surprised if they had the macros and the templates already built, just fill in the dots. I've never seen a machine like this that is so ready to go. And frankly, I don't understand why the Trump campaign is on their heels and why they weren't ahead of this.
Yeah. So
I don't get it.
Speaking of the state of Illinois, switching over to the vice president, the Veep stakes are back this time, of course, on the Democrat side. There's a new short list out and new updates on this, and I think, Mark, thankfully, for the people of Illinois and for the people of the United States, J.B. Pritzker's name is not popping up on the latest round of reports. So I guess the rest of the country is safe from having to endure what you have.
Like I said, we call it the People's Republic of Illinois for a reason. It just, he's just, I don't, I don't see what he would really bring to their ticket either.
I didn't either, but he was on this list for a while
except
now.
Money.
Yeah, exactly. Now, this doesn't mean, these are the reports, it doesn't mean that, everything's possible in politics, Doc. But the headline today, Vice President Kamala Harris's vetting team privately met with two top contenders just days before a final decision is expected to be made about the vice president on that Democratic ticket. Harris's team reportedly met with both Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and Senator Mark Kelly out of Arizona, the former astronaut. According to both reports, several other people are still on the list, including North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper and Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Everything you just said about J.B. Pritzker, just apply it also to Pete Buttigieg. I don't get it. I don't see it. I have no idea why that would be.
Actually, I was hoping he was going to be the one.
Yeah, well, I guess he's still on the list, as well as Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear. One former top Harris aide told NBC News that that she believed that Mark Kelly was the most likely pick, Doc, and reports are that the announcement could be made as soon as this coming Monday. What are your thoughts about this latest news and the news that it looks like Josh Shapiro and Mark Kelly are the top two candidates for vice president for Kamala Harris at this moment?
Well, I think Mark Kelly would deliver the Senate seat that Kristen Sinema is resigning from, and that Kerry Lake won the Republican nomination for. I mean, I think that, and of course, his seat would be gone, but that would be replaced by a Democrat most likely. But I think that would change the calculus there. So it would be terrible for the Senate, and it would set up even more momentum for a successful, progressive, radical, communist agenda that is Kamala Harris. I view him as the most dangerous candidate, right? There's been some talk about some company that he got involved in that had something to do with the Chinese spy balloon. That'll go the way of the dodo bird. That won't mean anything. You got an astronaut who spent the longest time in space. He was a fighter pilot in Iran. I mean, his wife is Gabby Giffords, bringing the violins out. It's not to minimize what happened to her, but these people are gratuitous. They will stop at nothing to accumulate and retain and magnify their power. Kelly scares me. He really scares me because he balances the ticket and politically, which I think is another mistake that, and people disagree with me. I think it's a mistake Trump made. I think he should have had a more balanced politically strategic choice rather than another mini Trump, frankly. But that's just me.
Yeah, we'll have we still have some time to talk about all of this presidential election stuff, but there's not much time left for voters in Missouri to make some massive decisions. One of the most important, if not the most important primary elections that I can ever remember is just days away, of course, on Tuesday. we've been talking about it a lot, Doc, but of course, we look at things from the perspective here in St. Louis. You're there in Columbia every morning with the morning show. Not only has Dr. Tobler got the Saturday show here on News Talk STL, he's on every morning in Columbia on the Eagle, and still a practicing physician. I don't know how you do it, Doc, but what are your, what are the top the top races that you are hearing and talking about, the most there in Columbia, and what are your, what are the things that you are specifically focused on as we get close to the election?
I'm feeling the same. I'm sort of I'm connected with St. Louis with far rural Missouri, and then sort of the Columbia, whatever you would call it, ex rural or sub rural kind of places. There's some balkanization both geographically and ideologically in the Republican Party in Missouri, as we know. People here talk about the CD3 race as far as, well, those city slickers in St. Louis that drive the Priuses, and Scott Fawn among them. And Scott's on our show regularly. He's a prominent guy, vocal, the publisher of Missouri Times, and has a TV show on Sunday mornings. And he's a good guy. He's in touch with Jefferson City. But boy, people are like, people in mid-Missouri tend to really be thinking, well, the hometown guy, Kurt Schaefer's the guy. People in St. Louis and O'Fallon and St. Charles County, and, people in there say, well, wait a minute, Bob Onder, man, he's our man. Look at what he did in the Senate. So you're seeing these balkanizations of geography. And then throw in the Freedom Caucus candidate, Bill Idle. When you talk about the governor's race, wow! I mean, you got that guy. You got Bill, who's very Freedom Caucus, very, I think, grassroots, very appeals to a lot of us that have this sort of like, throw all the bums out and let's get back to small government constitution. Although a lot of us, I include myself in both camps, say, wait a minute, I've heard and I know and I can confirm Bill Idle's created a lot of enemies in Jeff City. I don't know if he's going to be able to get a lot done if he's a governor because of divisiveness. That's just what I've heard on the ground. I mean, I've heard it. I'm not making it up.
Sure.
So, and then you've got Jay Ashcroft, who I would call libertarian with a name. He seems to be fairly libertarian. Jay wants to get rid of the income tax. That's a closer emulation of Texas, Tennessee, and Florida, which I ask every candidate for statewide office, like, what are you going to do to emulate the states that have mass in-migration from the Californias, the Illinois, the New Yorks of the world? I mean, citizens migrations. What are you going to do to try to head that way? Well, it's the common denominator with all of them. It's no income tax. You don't punish people for being productive. Guess what? People go to places where they don't get punished for being productive. Why do basketball stars and Sean Hannity and Donald Trump move to Florida? Hello,
moving to Texas.
The good news is, no matter who wins, it's going to be great because the Republican side is always better than any Democrat on their very best day.
So, Doc, last question, real quick, because we've already gone a little bit long, but I been covering elections for a long time, and I always have a gut feeling, especially on the major races. I really don't know what to expect. That's how chaotic, that's how wild I think Tuesday is going to be here in the state of Missouri. And just to illustrate that point, I brought these numbers up the other day, specifically with the Republican governor race, the primary there, the Republican governor primary. In 2020, 4 years ago, there was 680,000 total votes cast across the state of Missouri, 680,000. In the general governor's race, there was 3 million. So when you talk about potentially, that relatively small amount of people voting, and then you're dividing it three ways amongst, three, candidates that have, very positive things happening in various areas. I really don't have any idea what to expect on Tuesday. Do you have any handle on it? Or are you going to be just along for the ride as much as we are on Tuesday?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good spectator sport. And in the end, since we know that in Missouri, illegal immigrants probably can vote. Well, certainly non-citizens probably can vote. Maybe those types of numbers will be the numbers that make the difference. Wow. Isn't that a scary thought?
Yeah, but an important thing to think about. Dr. Randy Tobler, appreciate your time as always. Hopefully, if we don't talk to you before then, I hope we can talk to you on Tuesday during our election coverage if you are available.
I look forward to it.
And of course, we'll be listening Saturday
morning. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks, Doc, so much. Dr. Randy Tobler, of course, every Saturday morning, 6 a.m. here on News Talk STL. All right, keep it right here. We roll on. As I mentioned, my buddy Mark McMurray, my co-host on the weekends for the Bluff City Outdoor Show. He is live in studio with us as we roll on here on Colombo Company on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Maybe someday, saved by Zoom.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the News Talk STL app.
Just a convenience on the phone.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
Drugs, illegal immigration, crime. There's no law and order, and a crisis at the border. That's the Joe Biden record. But here in Jefferson County, Sheriff Dave Marshak isn't having any of it. Unlike the hug-a-thug policies of St. Louis, in Jefferson County, Dave Marshak puts criminals behind bars where they belong. Instead of allowing the insane to fund the police movement to win, he's hiring more cops with better pay and actually backing the blue. Illegal immigrants and cartel drugs? Not in Jeffco, amigo. Sheriff Dave Marshak's plan is simple, and it's working. In Jefferson County, crime is down, and Jeffco families are safe.
I'm Sheriff Dave Marshak. Unlike Joe Biden as your Jefferson County Sheriff, we're putting more cops on the street. We're enforcing the law and punishing criminals, and we're sending Mexican drugs back where they belong. On August 6th, vote Sheriff Dave Marshak for Jefferson County Sheriff to keep Jefferson County safe.
Paid for by Dave Marshak Election Committee. Mike Pruno, Treasurer.
During the COVID years, I was very disappointed by weak leadership dictating COVID tyranny and ridiculous, nonsensical rules. We had lost over 300,000 school days in St. Charles County that the children will never get back. The closing of businesses and mandates were unconstitutional and complete government overreach. I will always fight for your constitutional rights and your God-given freedoms and liberty. I'm Joe Browse, and I'm running for St. Charles County Council District 2. Vote August 6th. Thank you, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Citizens for Joe Brazel. Mike Summers, Treasurer.
Are you ready for positive change in Jefferson County?
Hi, I'm Billy Crow, and I'm running for Jefferson County Council because I believe in a brighter future for our community. I spent my life working hard and listening to the needs of our neighbors. Together, we can build better schools, safer neighborhoods, and a stronger local economy.
Billy Crow has always been there for our community.
I trust Billy to bring fresh ideas and real solutions to Jefferson County.
Vote for a leader who cares. Vote Billy Crow for Jefferson County Council.
I'm Billy Crow, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Friends of Billy Crow. Joyce Jenner, Treasurer.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
How many times have we heard leftists preach, even warn, if Donald Trump is reelected, he will end our Democrat process, ending democracy in our republic? Well, riddle me this. Which party just kicked their leading candidate to the side of the road, taking his delegate votes and money, throwing all those who supported him under the bus? You know the answer. The Democrats. And now it's official. VP Harris will be the only candidate on the Democrat National Committee virtual roll call ballot for president. In fact, the DNC chairman said, our party has met this unprecedented moment with a transparent, democratic, orderly process to unite behind a nominee with a proven record. What record? Now, next week, Harris will officially announce her VP. That's the early word on the street. And I have sources watching out for this. And in fact, my sources tell me that next week, Harris is going to name that she is picking, wait for it, Joe Biden. Oh, I'm going to have to talk to my sources.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Question, do you know what vermiculite is? It is an insulation in the attics of hundreds of thousands of homes and public buildings. Looks like kitty litter, but often contains asbestos. Wellington Environmental is the largest company in the Midwest that can remove that hazard for you. Wellington has what is called the General, a powerful industrial vacuum that can suck vermiculite out of the attic. Hang on, there's something else you should know. Many of you might qualify for up to a $4,000 rebate. You should at least contact Wellington to see if you qualify. And here's something else. Wellington arrives at the time they give you, not sometime within 4 hours. 314-644-4930. 644-4930. WellingtonSTL.com. WellingtonSTL.com. Wellington Environmental. Your world cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
Hi, this is former St. Louis County Police Chief Tim Fitch, and I am endorsing Mark Harder for the State Senate Race 15. I know firsthand, Mark has been a strong supporter of our police and first responders. Over the years, we sponsored legislation together to increase funding and equipment for our county police. We worked together to crack down on car and catalytic converter thefts and the proliferation of drugs like fentanyl in our community. Mark Harder is the right choice for voters in West County on August 6th.
Paid for by citizens to elect Mark Harder. Chuck McCluskey, Treasurer.
Spend the weekend in Mount Vernon, Illinois. Every weekend, enjoy festivals and events, including Thursday Night Live at Cedarhurst, Market Days Back to School Bash, Hand Up Summit, Historical Village Ice Cream Social, Zombie Outbreak at the Haunted Woods, citywide yard sales, third Saturdays in Mount Vernon Flea Market and Vendor Fair, concerts at the Granada Theater, special events at C.E. Brem Memorial Library, Cedarhurst Blues, Brews, and Bourbon, Cool Up at the Aquatic Zoo, and so much more. Creativity redefined in Mount Vernon. Visit enjoymountvernon.com. Brought to you in part by Mount Vernon Tourism and Enjoy Illinois.
The wait is over. President Trump endorses Bill Eigel for governor. Bill Eigel, true America First conservative and the first to endorse President Trump. Bill Eigel is the only candidate who will take on the Jeff City swamp. Listen to Trump-endorsed conservative Bill Eigel.
We'll round up illegal immigrants and get rid of them, period. We'll ban Chinese ownership of our land and take back everything they stole. And we'll go by how God made us, not some stupid woke pronouns. They'll call us racist, sexist, God knows what else. And that's how we'll know we're winning.
Bold conservative Bill Eigel. Ban personal property taxes. Deport every single illegal immigrant in Missouri. Bill Eigel. Politicians hate him, special interests fear him, and Trump endorsed him. Vote Trump-endorsed Bill Eigel for governor. Believe in Life and Liberty PAC paid for and is responsible for the content of this communication, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.billpac.com.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Left-wing thinking now allows men to beat up women in the Olympics. How far are we going to let this go? Let's talk about that on Friday's program.
Morning starting at 5:30 on News Talk STL.
Welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket out.
Welcome back to Colombo Company on 101.9 News Talk STL. Been a busy show today as we get closer and closer to Election Day. Tuesday is Election Day here in the state of Missouri, and we will have you covered all that day and into the evening. We will be bringing you live election coverage on Tuesday night starting at 7 p.m. And we will be talking to the candidates. We'll be analyzing every race happening across the state of Missouri and bringing you up to the second election results as they happen. So if you want to be informed and stay up to speed on everything that happens on Tuesday night, make sure that you join us here on News Talk STL. Everything throughout this election season. America Decides 2024. We have you covered here on News Talk STL. And election night coverage is brought to you by Great Harvest Bread Company in Maplewood, your neighborhood bakery. Visit them at greatharvestmaplewood.com. As I mentioned, joining me in studio is my weekend co-host, putting in a little weekday co-host to work today, Mark McMurray from Bluff City Outdoors. You can hear our show, the Bluff City Outdoors Show, every Saturday morning at 11, every Sunday at noon here on News Talk STL. You can also get our podcast everywhere that you get the Colombo and Company podcast, so you never have to miss that show either. I want to talk a little bit about, the outdoor community and outdoor activities, how important I truly believe how important, that community is, and having that positive influence on people's lives, that we talk about a lot on Saturdays and Sundays, especially nowadays. But I also wanted to take advantage of you being in here and, spreading the conversation outside the outdoor realm. The abortion issue has been obviously a huge issue for voters, will continue to be. And you have a very interesting and I think fantastic idea that I've never heard brought up before. So there's all this debate about, there's bills that are, out that are just ban abortion flat out. There's way too many bills that are being passed that have no restrictions. And then there's been arguments about, well, if there is, it should be an 8-week ban or a 10-week ban or whatever. And that conversation, is being debated all over the place. You have a different approach, I think, despite your pro-life belief personally, but yeah.
Yes. Being somebody that is, I'm a pro-lifer, that's what I believe. But also being pragmatic, believe that you need to come up with a time frame that is both reasonable, makes sense, and it's also science-based. And I think, they should present it as whatever the youngest premature baby to have ever survived.
Yeah.
That's your time frame.
That's the time. Yeah, because there's always the debate around, we've heard 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, and everybody said, well, how do you make that determination? Where's that line? You're not God. You can't pick that out. So that's been part of the issue there, why there's never been a consolidated effort.
Yes. So if you pick that, everybody should agree that at that point in time, after that, it's we shouldn't do it.
Yeah, it's provably, clearly the line that there is a sustainable life past whatever,
because we've just proven it.
Yeah,
it's and then and then with the why I like this idea is if you then look at over time, long term, is that time can only go one direction.
Yeah,
it's going to get earlier and earlier and earlier.
Correct. Yeah,
so that we're going to let science, which your progressive left is real big on science.
So
science.
As that happens in your law, if you're king,
it automatically clicks back.
That moves the law, pushes the law back.
It pushes the law back.
Yeah,
that's built into it. It's just it just sort of goes back, and then at some point in time, maybe 100 years from now, it's going to be pretty early.
I like that a lot. I think that is something that the pro-life conservative voters who obviously I understand why that is such a passionate, emotional issue for you, but the fact, unfortunately, is that across the country, what we have seen is that when it's either just a simple yes or no, unfortunately, almost every time the pro-choice bill wins, and that opens the door to all
makes
of
it open-ended, which is sad.
Partial birth,
yes,
late term, all these barbaric, terrible procedures are legal.
Yeah,
and I would think that this would be a much better world and a much better country, and if all of those procedures were eliminated. And unfortunately, I think that you have to come up with a bill like what we're talking about.
With you got to come something like that. And the reason I like
otherwise you're just that is because the door open
because it's going to move in time and it's only going to improve.
Yeah,
and head in the direction that myself I believe in. A lot of this. I had a nephew that was born. I think he weighed 19 ounces when he was born,
wow.
And he's what is he now? About 35, 36.
Wow.
So watching him, he was
that's amazing.
Fit in your hand, and watching him struggle for life. You sit there and go, he's fighting to live.
Man, yeah, that's unbelievable. I think that would be a massive step in the right direction if we saw that being introduced in the conversation. I think
somebody needs to embrace that.
That's a great that's a great approach, because it takes out the debate of you have a provable factual way.
You're letting science to find the window.
Only a few minutes left here, but highly recommend, if you haven't already, make sure you join us on the Bluff City Outdoors Show. Again, you can download the podcast, listen to us anytime, but also Saturday mornings at 11, Sundays at noon here on News Talk STL. And Mark, we talk about it all the time on the weekends, but especially right now. If there's one community that I think is that leaves the politics at the door, leaves the division outside, it's the outdoor community, fishermen, hunters. There's
it's
and we
definitely
need more.
We need more of that.
And this
trying to leave it,
get
away from that.
Yeah,
there's times where it does encroach on those activities.
Yeah,
but people just need to get out and
And you get to see it every day at Bluff City Outdoors. But, you just go out there. Bluff City Outdoors is in Alton, about a mile east of Fast Eddie's there on Broadway. All your fishing gear, all the stuff for all your bow hunting needs, trapping needs, so much more. The archery range, you can shoot in every day there at Bluff City Outdoors. But just the community, the conversation, when you're in there.
You never know who you're going to talk to and what's going to, but it's always going to be typically positive and something, to do with the outdoors, people wanting to get out. We were able to help so many people get started, and then, when they come back and they're successful and they talk about it, they're excited, it's just great.
Yeah, absolutely. That's Mark McMurray from the Bluff City Outdoors Show. That's going to do it for us today. I am back tomorrow at 2. Keep it here for the O'Reilly Report, then the Tim Jones and Chris Harp Show. Next.
Well, the names have
On August 6th, your vote will shape our community's future. Introducing Representatives John Simmons and Kyle Marquardt, two candidates with starkly different records. John Simmons, a staunch conservative, has consistently cut taxes and defended parents' rights for education choice. He believes in limited government and safeguarding our privacy. Simmons even championed legislation to secure our elections, ensuring integrity at every step. In contrast, Kyle Marquardt